Welcome everybody for my presentation Best Practice for Language Teaching and Education with a focus on media application and intercultural competence as critical factors in digital, vocational and university language training. My name is Dr. Michaela Rusch and I am a teacher at the UAS in Zwickau, the University of Applied Sciences. My academic background can be seen in English and German as major subjects, which I studied at the University of Technology in Chemnitz and at Ulster University in Ireland. My PhD project, completed in 2017, was focusing on language change in combination with politics, identity and gender. This is also my current research interest beside language teaching. In my work as a teacher for English and German, I have been working in vocational nursing training, and in 2017 I started working at the University of Applied Sciences. So in 2019 we started a project, cooperation project on German as a foreign language for Serbian train drivers. Well, let me start with an overview on the teaching setting or teaching settings that I encounter: the intercultural competence, media and digital application, digital tool use, and then I would like to have a closer look on the two cases. On the one hand, nursing training, and on the other hand, technical English at university. To give you some idea, the setting for teaching could be described as following. So there is the nursing training, which includes German and English lessons for students in the framework of an apprenticeship, who then work in multinational teams and with diverse and multinational patients. On the other hand, University of Applied Sciences, there is technical English for engineering students from different areas of study. It's diverse and also multinational. So what is the challenge here? It's altogether heterogeneous groups concerning background and language level in all teaching settings. So the content for the teacher that is can be a challenge. The content ranges from healthcare, nursing training to engineering. So the lecturer needs to prepare the didactic and the content level, enhancing the understanding and media competence. A little focus now on intercultural competence. So intercultural competence can be seen as a basic skill. So it is, on the one hand, a challenge for the nursing students, as they need the English language skills to communicate with the patients who are from different cultures, and the nurses need to provide the German care standards. So the question here is on how to approach the different cultural backgrounds, also with their different approaches towards illness and health issues. So this is this needs to be a very sensitive approach between staff and the patients. On the other hand, for the students of technical English, there also needs to be the professional knowledge, the skills to communicate with co-workers later on in projects, as well as communication with their fellow students in either projects or later on in the job. So generally the students will learn how to approach certain situations and how to work in international teams, how to handle the differences in cultural approach. So generally we can say that intercultural competence here reflected in language use is decisive. So is for the groups of engineers as well as for the nurses to handle situations in international settings. Talking about media competence, the question of defining what it actually is is the next logical step. So what we can say is that, for example, Barke defined it as a cluster of skills. So it's not just media pedagogy, but it's education, it's didactics, it's knowledge and research about media. So it's far more complex, and it's referring to a variety of applications and occurrences. So using media and acquiring those competencies in courses and school, that's something that is needed later on in the job, as it's a global connected environment. So pointing out that media competence in school and university ranges from the simple handling of a office document to applying conferencing tools. And that's the point what makes it so difficult and also so challenging to enhance the students' knowledge so they are able to work with it. So the next point that I would like to introduce here is the media and digital application. So the one side is what is expected, the other side is what the students actually deliver. So in the nursing training, due to the current situation, the lesson units were how can I say, were provided to the students using Jitsi Meet as a conferencing tool, and also LearnSux was used, which is a learning platform, e-learning platform by the federal state of Saxony, to exchange, to upload, to communicate about the resources of nursing and healthcare. So the transfer of the content from what was provided in the lesson to the work later on the ward. So that was a challenge that had to be overcome, especially in the digitalized version. In the UAS courses, it's the BBB that we're actually using along with Opal, which is also an e-learning platform, very comparable to LearnSux. So it's generally providing material, uploading material, sharing material. So the resources here would be engineering, would be scientific, would be of academic origin. And again, the transfer of the knowledge, of the language knowledge for the studies and the later occupation in a specialized field is the focus here. All right, so so far so good. So that's kind of a basic setting. Now the question is, what kind of tools and resources could be used? And actually, therefore, I grouped them in to make it a little easier to follow. So we have things like Padlet, task cards, Onco that can function as illustrating something like learning techniques as exam preparation, or task cards would be just the German version of Padlet. So Onco in the sense of collecting ideas and setting a frame for a topic, while for example Jamboard, Yopad, Whiteboard Chat would be appearing as the typical whiteboard apps with all the different types of tasks and applications that usually come with that. Learning apps, Kahoot and Quizlet, as well as Wanna Listen, that would be apps that the students can also use away from the classroom, where they can train, how to react, how to use the language in a more gamified way, in a more playful way. Another point here would be Simple Show, which is a very nice app and a very handy app, especially when you want to create videos instantly. So those videos could be on lesson content. Students can, of course, repeatedly watch the videos. They get a better understanding of the content, and they can apply it also for their own learning process and use it in their presentations. So another point here, and I grouped them almost together, pictorials, Scribbler, and Mentimeter, because it's also apps for the teacher as well as for the student to enhance the knowledge and to go about it. Scribbler especially here, very interesting as it's a creative writing app, so the students are asked to write, to imagine, and so they're also training, of course, their skills. A next point then would be to give you some more idea of the actual application, and therefore I would like to go a little more into detail about the nursing training. So what the nursing training involves is that in the end these students have to work in multinational teams. They have to care for diverse multinational patients, and therefore it is already a very interdisciplinary approach in their training, as they have the nursing, the cultural background, and the general knowledge. So when we have a look at the lessons, German and English. So in German, what they predominantly do is they get in touch with the different types of text, with the different genres. So written, it could be the patient's record, patient's history, fluid balancing, or a care plan. Oral, it could be a handover or giving advice to a patient, or another teacher is giving the student advice. So then they also have to write their internship reports and care planning, where they also again train how to say, how to use terminology, how to say it in the specific lingo. And then of course they also have the terminology that they're focused on when they're presenting certain points. In English, the language is the focus, the most important focus. So all of the things set for German are also true for English, but in the respective language, and it's kind of different types of tasks. So as I talk of tasks, let's just have a look here in this example. So there is a so-called fall prophylaxis brochure, and the students were given a text and they had to work out the text. They had to bring it in the right order. It's actually jumbled up, and then they had to analyze what it was about and how far it was tackling certain points regarding a fall prophylaxis, and then they were actually asked to prepare a brochure about the topic themselves. Another point was that I was introducing the topic of different types of patients, and the students were asked to think of what type of patients they actually encounter in the work, what they are considering in relation to communication, and what they consider in care. And then they had to prepare their own patient case, had to introduce it, and that could be done in various ways. So they could have used the Padlet, they could have used one of the whiteboards to do that. They also used PowerPoint, or they used just a simple Word document. In all cases, it was a combination of different types of media they were using. I can't say the most important task, but one of the most important tasks, apart from the anatomy that is present in every lesson, is the admission procedure. So here the students needed some guidance to get into the topic, to work it out, and then they were preparing a talk in front of class, and they were taking up the roles of the nurse and the patient and were presenting that to their fellow students with the point of getting feedback and discussing the content. All right, so after that, let me show you some examples from university. So again, let's briefly recap. It's again multinational engineering students from different programs. Challenge here would be to teach technical and business English from B2 to C1. So we have the subject-specific component with automotive engineering, mechanical engineering, and textile engineering. And the content then would be multidimensional. It would be interdisciplinary, as the groups are, as already said, heterogeneous. And it would be a step-by-step concept building upon previous lessons, as they have the B2 class and later on the C1 class. So the assessment would be a presentation of about 20 minutes and then a written digital exam. It could also be a term paper. Right, let's have a look at some examples here. So what was one idea was to discuss the production process a little more detailed, and so the students were given a task to evaluate what is the production process generally about, and then choosing a specific part and discussing that part in detail. For the advanced class, the so-called SWOT analysis is a very nice topic, as they can reflect on their internship, and that was the idea here. So to use the study-related internship to create a SWOT analysis and to reflect on what has been done in that internship. Also from the biomedical engineering, the task on diagnostic measures and treatment is actually a very challenging and very interesting task, as the students need to use and choose different types of media to tackle the topic. So the focus here was to take a famous patient and to apply modern day medicine instead of what actually happened to them, and to find differences and to work out the details. Well, I hope I could give you some idea of the topics that are available in our courses, the approach that was given to that, and I would be welcoming all the questions you have. Instead of a long summary, I just provide a word cloud here with the key terms, and thank you very much for listening.